Okay, let's get to our top 20 of before 2020. First up is from a beautiful track, a beautiful game, one of my favorite soundtracks of the decade because it's so epic and so dramatic. If you're into Muse and that type, you're going to love a lot of the stuff in Nier Automata. This is from Nier Automata. It's called Song of the Ancients Atonement with vocals. One of my favorites, a beat out Persona 5 for me for favorite gaming soundtrack of that year. It's like very... Yes. What a track. You know, I love this because it sounds so epic, but kind of soft at the same time. There's sort of like this gentle, heavy percussion. The production and the tone of it is sort of soft. It's especially with the vocals, and it's got this beautiful kind of rise, and it's like riding a big wave, like riding a tidal wave. And when you encounter like the enemies and the scope of the game and the story, it can feel, because it goes from like the tiniest enemies to like big monsters, and the tiniest ideas to like much bigger ideas. And it's just, I think this music fits the game really well, and on a personal level it's some of my favorite kind of music ever. Yeah, it has an easygoing confidence, almost like the world and fate will keep turning in a way that no matter what you try to do, will just keep going and going. Good Lord. That's a wonderful, wonderful track. All right, next up we've got from Blaze Blue, Cross Tag Battle. Weiss mix. Wow, a lot of movements. Okay, let's pump this up to Prince's favorite part of 403. Oh, so yeah, we're hearing like quite a big drastic change. So it's going through her arc. I assume that this is sort of a mix of all her different themes that you would hear at different times throughout. No, it's not wanting to play Prince Boy. Wow, really interesting. Kind of similar to Nier in a lot of ways. I mean, it's big, it's epic, it's kind of got like a seemingly heavy sounding musicality with a softer production. This is a little more screaming and in your face, but like a bit more obnoxious, a bit more punky, a bit more rebellious, a bit kind of younger, like I can still change the world. Where, like One Lich was saying, how the Nier music is more sure of itself, confident. It's almost like Nier Automata's, like, to me, feels more midlife crisis, as in this is the way the world is and there's kind of nothing you can do about it. And as you realize there's greater powers for everything around you. Okay, that was pretty intense. All right, let's put up the next one. This is going to be way more chill. We've got from Breath of the Wild, Riding in the Day. Breath of the Wild had a very sparse soundtrack. I think it did a good job of evoking nature, little sprinkles of piano, instruments sort of drifting in and out, almost like the wind coming in and out. And I heard the Super Makoto brothers, who I really like a lot of, really respect for their opinions on video game music. They have had a long-running video game podcast that super well respected, and they play video game covers themselves, and they weren't super happy with the soundtrack. So it's interesting to hear it under that lens. Yeah, like when Letch was saying, this was a lot different from the other Zelda pieces that we had heard, the other Zelda soundtracks. But when you completely change the type of gameplay, they put Zelda into a really large open world where you're choosing where you're going to go. You could spend hours wandering one area. So you can't have... It would be much more challenging to have like a big, triumphant, galloping sort of theme like in Ocarina of Time when you decide to go from one area to the other and you gallop across the main field. You can have a big, long, extravagant, heroic theme that's going to last about 7 to 10 minutes of like different movements coming in and out. But you could spend hours out in the main area of Breath of the Wild. It doesn't really know where you're going to go, and that's the whole point of the game. So it doesn't really want to lead you any one direction. It's a game about sort of exploration, taking your time, curiosity, and you hear a lot of that in this music of like little things poking in and out and going, poking in and going, coming in and coming out. It reminds me of nature, of the wind, of birds chirping, and of ideas coming in and out. Like you might see an idea comes in, I think I should go check out that church. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll go check out that mountain. Maybe I'll go check out that tree. So I think it worked really well. I agree with the Marcato brothers that they could have used more music overall to score some of the bigger moments, but I was really happy with what they did. I think it worked really well, and I think they had to make a change, and you can't just jam in the same old ideas and have it work like that. All right, the next up is, let's see here. I believe this one is called The Rain, formerly known as Purple from Risk of Rain 2. I'm glad somebody put this one in because I saw this on somebody else's list of one of the best soundtracks of the decade, and I wasn't familiar with it, so happy to learn about it now. Risk of Rain 2. nice track. Kind of like glitch hoppy. Got a nice I haven't played the game, but it's got a really nice sort of subterranean, underground, thoughtful, cerebral, futuristic, mysterious, but very positive. Like, it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, whatever it is you're doing down there. Almost like Metroid-y, except more, a way more friendly version of Metroid. More empowering. Really nice track. All right, next up is from Persona 5. This is, I believe, called Alley Cat. Okay. What a great track. I was using the wrong mic. It was the the microphone from my Sony cam came on instead of this mic. Those opening notes just are so melancholy. It's like saying so long, Sam. You're never gonna see Sam again, and it wasn't his fault and it wasn't yours, but you knew you had to part. So long, Sam. Hope you find a better alley for your crazy antics. This is this track is actually how I felt walking away from Persona 5. I really wanted to love you, like I did Persona 4, but I just can't get into your anime story bullshit. But your music speaks to me more than anything in this bullshit story ever did. Oh, so much space in between. Just beautiful. Always been a highlight of the series. Very noir, very noir-y. I was trying to jam. Wrong mic. All right. Next up is from VVVVVVVV, I believe. This is called Pushing Onwards. Another soundtrack I don't think I'm familiar with at all. bit, similar to Tetris and Contra. I think it's using that Dorian scale of this sort of minor scale mixed with a heroic note from the major scale, which gives it like a, we gotta do it, we gotta fight. And it's almost as like a kind of Russian, like a polka beat in a way. But it's also obviously using more modern techniques. You've got 8-bit sounds, but you can use many more voices, so you can create more chords, you can have more space, you can have like higher fidelity sounds. It's the best way to recreate this old stuff. And it's very slavish to what you could do back then, but in a good kind of way. That was nice. V. Next up, from a slightly less retro game. This game that came out very recently, near the end of the decade. Red Dead Redemption 2, Cruel, Cruel World. Nice track. A little more, sort of a little happier than I thought it was going to be when it first started. And then I realized what it was. It's almost like an old kind of old-fashioned hymn, like a song that would be free to public domain use by now. And almost like really cheesy. Kind of cheesy and sappy. Is that another one of those ones by Daniel Lanois? I think it fits it. It's got kind of this sort of oh shucks kind of cowboy attitude, where I think that they were definitely going for music that could have been written back then. Real simple, bluesy in nature, folky, and I guess sort of yearning for just like a simple life, where maybe all he wanted was just to settle down and be a normal guy who would listen to cheesy music like that, but ended up being a far more interesting person, leading a much more tragic life. So, interesting track. Way cheesier than I thought, but good. All right, the next up is from Past Cure theme song by Siren. I have no idea what to expect about this.
Through my head, through the skin of my fingertips, with desire, hunt me down like a lion, go through me with tears, love me like you're on fire. Thoughts of unreturnable love, of unredeemable touches, I want to feel. Vainly incorrectible, sanely trying to hold on to what this earth could bring. Hail me with your cravings to a past that's
I know what you mean. The instrumental behind it, I really like. The instrument choice, the setup of it all is nice. On paper, it sounds great. It's like the lyrics I don't click with, or the melody delivery. Melody delivery. I like that harmony in the vocals though. There's a lot of cool ideas in it, but I know what you mean. Sounds kind of emo. I think it goes to that thing of a lot, like where sometimes video game tracks with lyrics tend to have a lot. Like they're really trying to convey a lot of story in one. Usually when you hear a video game track with lyrics, people go, this song describes all 3 games in one. This song describes every single character's complete arc. This is their backstory. Yeah, it kind of sounds more like a pop song where the music's not in the forefront. You completely agree with that. I always struggle with lyrics in game music. It can be tough for me, yeah. I find it with Nier Automata, I like that there are the language is not understandable, where it's just used as another instrument, and they don't overdo it. It's a super clever way of telling the story. Yeah. Clever but not intelligent. The Lena way. Okay, next up is from a fantastic CRPG that I've recently been trying to get back into. If you're into some pretty heady ideas, some philosophical discussions about what it is to be a person in a society with governments, check out Disco Elysium. This is from Whirling Gig, or Whirling Rags, the bar. This is the daytime theme. a track. Definitely sounds to me like sort of the end of an indie movie or the end of an era. And the setting in Disco Elysium is a place that has seen far better days. It's been really hurt by war, by government oppression. Workers are on strike. Murder doesn't seem too out of place. People are trying to scrape by, but things have definitely changed, and it feels like there's sort of no way up or out for them. It's very corrupt. The union is actually in control of everything. So it kind of throws into this idea of like, who are the right people? Is it just as easy to say government bad, but in this game the union seem to be the ones that have a lot of power. Maybe they are. It's a great game with a lot of mystery. I keep trying to stream it, but I don't feel like it's it works for me to stream it because I think there's just so much reading and thoughtfulness, and I'm just not good at that. It's just not in my skill set of it. Where I would rather kind of really take my time and read it a lot because it rewards that. We do Tropaz 007. Fantastic track. I love it. The whole that really sad, echoey trumpet. It's just so fitting and so beautiful done, and it makes an appearance on a lot of the different tracks. Okay, next up is from something a lot different. Streets of Rage 4, the big return to a franchise that has some of the most famous music ever on Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis, depending on where you're from or how pretentious you are. So let's see, can they recapture the brilliance of Ragey Streets? So the new soundtrack, as we're reading in the chat, had a lot of different composers as opposed to the original composer. But this one here is done by the original composer. I think what made the original Genesis soundtrack so impressive is that there weren't a lot of great soundtracks on the Genesis because it was really tough to program for. You had to embrace what it did well, which is like when you do it well, it's killer. Because the Sega Genesis had great bass, percussion, synth sounds, bell sounds, but when you tried to make them sound like other things, it could sound very cold and sterile. But if you embraced what it was, these sort of like organ 1990s dance tracks, which are making a big comeback. If you've listened to the new Dua Lipa album, Future Nostalgia. It has a real throwback to 90s dance music. A lot of fun synths, really like happy kind of positive dance music with like sort of a 70s soul slapping bass, that kind of stuff. Really organic feel. Yeah, it probably could sound better if you found like a higher res rip, or you're just listening to it straight up on your computer. All the different channels it's going through in my admittedly not great internet, it's probably affecting how it sounds. Here is a taste of the original Streets of Rage soundtrack. There'll be a high res upload of the show once we're done. Now that's from what, 1993 or something? Pretty good sounds for that little Genesis, if you totally embrace what it can do well. I mean, that bass and drums was just pumping. Kelranos. Yeah, this is very sexy and romantic. Alright, moving on from music from the decade. This is called Let's Contribute. Million Year Sentence of Love. Guys, mix. Full version.
見つめ合い動けないでもとどまっちゃいけ
All right. There's a lot going on in there. Can you imagine looking at like the track list in that recording session? So many sounds, so many genres, like heavy guitars, rapping, soaring vocals. We got a build up and a breakdown, shout vocals. Pretty intense. Very, like Japanese sort of young person riding the subway, overstimulated, hating the world. This is crazy. All right, let's calm it down a bit and cleanse the palate with something from FTL, Faster Than Light, another one of my favorite soundtracks of the decade. I love the synths in this. I love the layers of it. It really feels like you're out in space, out in the future. That lo-fi hi-hat sound in the beginning, so it sounds like a kind of a venting sound. All the different sort of flange effects. Gives it very, oh shoot, this solo was giving you shivers and I just stopped it? Sorry. The way it gives this mounting tension. It's a game that has a lot of tension, but also some calmness, because you're racing, similar to the new Battlestar Galactica, you're trying to escape a much more powerful force, and you fail a lot. But there's also those sort of calm moments of, I'm running a ship, I got a crew, sometimes we're just repairing, we're going about our business. Fantastic. Alright, I don't know what this one is. LOLK, final stage theme, the sea where one's home planet reflects. Quite honest, I love the way electronic music is being used these days. Yeah, where you can just get totally new sounds, you can really tell a lot of story, and you can put a lot of character in it. When people do the work and create their own sort of electronic instruments and play them, you can have that personality, character, expression. It's very easy to just make that stuff sound generic, but if you put the work in and have the talent, it can sound amazing. Alright, LOLK, final stage theme. I think this is going to be epic. nice track. Sort of combines 8-bit JRPG nostalgia with and sort of moving dramatic chord changes with the sort of dancey, hyper poppy kind of Japanese sound to me. It's a bit repetitive, but it depends where it's being used in the game, right? But it works really well. Nice track. Alright, let's take a little break. So the 2010s for gaming, what did it mean? We had a recession a few years before that decade started, and it meant that we had a very, very extended period of the PS3 360 generation. We had a shift to cheaper gaming, mobile gaming, internet gaming. Indies rose and went from being this sort of downloaded game was to standing right alongside the rest of them, and to the point of where every game can be a downloading game. It's been an interesting shift. Microtransactions really became popular. Gaming on the internet became very popular, and it's led us to where we are now, where we still have a lot of what I liked back then and what existed before. It's all evolving, and it just, with the internet, it keeps expanding to the point where you have to look a little more to find those niche things, but the niche things are there. It's easier than ever to find the niche stuff, but the mainstream seems to be getting even tighter and tighter. Whereas before, the mainstream had to service more people. VR is another big step. Hey there, Furkan Gaia. So the mainstream has gotten more niche. It's gotten even more mainstream. And there's way more niches. You can find exactly what you want. I mean, you look at the variety of different games we've seen here. Some games that I've never even heard of that are franchises, that are popular, successful, that carve out their own space. Hotline Miami, the track you're listening to now, directly born of Xbox 360's and Microsoft's initiative to highlight these smaller retro games for a group of gamers, say my age, that grew up playing these older type games that really wanted that really craved that return to gameplay. So, all right, moving on with our list. We've got something from Yakuza 5. Probably a Leonot pick, I'd imagine. interesting track. Sort of like soap opera rock. Sort of emotional and kind of a bit sappy, but sounding heavy at the same time. What keeps it interesting for me are the polyrhythms on the drums and the bass and the rhythm. Just when I'm starting to it gets too predictable. Yeah, go Ramos, you got it. It's very Yakuza. It sounds like I'm watching an opening montage. Yakuza. And it shows the title theme. Okay, alright, calm down. Jesus Christ, the next one's from Devil May Cry. I can't handle that. I can't handle two of those back to back. No way. Let's do a Pokemon track to sort of cleanse the palates. This is from Omega Ruby / Alpha Sapphire. Zinnia theme music. It's Japanese if you couldn't tell. Get your French accordions out, mon frère. Has like a European French, like a French accordion, flamenco-ish, sort of dancey pop dramatic sound. I don't really know what I get from this. It's kind of wistful, kind of romantic. I guess if you're trying to describe a character who wears a cape and has red moons there, I guess this could describe that person. Seems kind of gives him like a wistful, skillful vibe, I guess. Each generation of Pokemon goes to different sounds. Gen 3 was all about trumpets, seagulls and trumpets. Yeah, it's got a very European, Latin, Renaissance sort of vibe to it. Mediterranean, maybe. Ah, Cervantes from Soul Calibur, yeah, similar. Okay, that was interesting. Let's go back to Devil May Cry, which I'm assuming is going to be a bunch of like heavy guitar rock and some vocals. This is from Devil May Cry 5, Crimson Cloud. the best surprise of the week for me. Normally when I see Devil May Cry, I think it's going to be pretty hard-hitting, fast, jumpy, generic rock. Tons of notes, tons of guitar fizz, and obnoxious, annoying vocals. This is super creative and deep and luscious, nice sounds and like interesting rhythms, and feels super creative, unique, and all these different techniques and things going around. Like, I understand and Devil May Cry is about being fast and it's action packed, but it's also a game that takes a lot of intricate combo work. You know, you have a lot of things you're thinking about as you're trying to create these super combos and play the game on increasingly difficult levels, and I think it's better served to have something with a lot of different layers in it and different things going on, a little more complex music. This is really good. No siren sounds. All right, next up is from Maze, Top Secret, with lyrics. Unfortunately, there's lyrics. Here we go.
By a brilliant mind, an imbecile for a right hand and a prison man inside. I need a girl who can understand the burdens of this life, whose name will go after an ampersand, in whom I can confide. All these secret lies, all my true desires. By my calculation, it's a sticky situation, keep it top secret. But maybe we can experiment and keep it from the government. We're top secret. Maybe we can action on this chemical reaction, keep it top secret. But by my calculation, it's a sticky situation, keep it top secret. Like a man with a master plan.
Super 80s, sort of like David Bowie type vocals, a lot of 80s production and tones and chorus. Pretty glorious chorus. So I really enjoy it. Super fun. Beautiful homage to 80s music, like Blinded Me with Science and Devo, Bowie, Blondie. It's that post-punk sound. Not at all what I was expecting. That's pretty nice. Alright, here's something else I have no idea what to expect. Metal Brute Justice Mode. Brute Justice's theme extended. Oh, this is from Final Fantasy XIV. Okay. feel like you could poke your head into the musical room at Square Enix and you could just say any crazy idea you had. You could send them an email at 4 in the morning when you're super stoned and like, what if there was like a Transformers parody and then they fought Transformers and there was a theme that, you know, felt like that. And then the next morning at 8 a.m. you get an email and the Square Enix music team goes, done, and you get this, and it's so weird but so specific, where they take everything so seriously, no matter how crazy the idea. It's perfectly done, and done 100% genuinely. It's not, even when it's done kind of tongue-in-cheek, the music and the production and the talent behind it and the resources is unbelievable. There's probably more money spent on this song than a lot of indie games to do this. It's weird. It's Square Enix. Just combining robots. So strange. Alright, okay, next up is from Death Stranding. This is called A Final Waltz. Pretty heavy theme. Some really beautiful production in there. There's some really subtle reverb-soaked synthy pad stuff that accompanies the piano and doesn't really sound like much on its own. It almost sounds like an effect on the piano, but to me I think it's another instrument they play with it. It's very subtle, which is strange for a Kojima game. He's not the most subtle person. Mysterious, enigmatic, confusing, rarely subtle. But he's not in charge of the music, is he? Other than the licensed tracks that he picks, which are good. Interesting. Super emotional. I don't remember this track at all. Nice. All right, next up is from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Giant Blue Pig in the Sky. Very 60s, 70s, late 60s, 70s orchestra. When they did a lot of this hybrid of kind of a loungy band, a lot of bass and drums, mixed with these really kind of happy, cheery, kind of sentimental horns and strings and flutes. And piano, lots of piano too. This is like something you'd see at the 1972 Oscars with Marlon Brando, who couldn't be here. Really cheesy sounding. Is this sort of like tongue-in-cheek, this game? Usually these kind of JRPGs I think of as much more dramatic. This is more of a, like, campy, like it's trying to break the fourth wall and let you know that this is all just a game, it's all just a show. Alright, if you're watching on the YouTube version, uploaded after, this will be the end. This will be the final piece. And a track I'd like to put at the end, this is from Skyrim, Jeremy Soule fame. This is called The Streets of Whiterun. If you're watching the stream, the show will continue on as we choose next week's theme and bullshit a little.